Rihanna, diamond in the rough. In the heart of the Caribbean, where ancient volcanic islands rise from turquoise waters like sleeping giants, legends are born from the most unlikely circumstances. This is not just a story about fame, fortune, or even music. This is a story about metamorphosis, about a girl who refused to be contained by the boundaries others set for her. Her name was Robin Rihanna Finney, and from the moment she drew her first breath on February 20th, 1988, in St. Michael Parish, Barbados, the universe seemed to be preparing for something extraordinary. But paradise, as we'll discover, is often built on foundations of struggle. And sometimes, the most brilliant diamonds emerge from the deepest pressure. The Finney household with a symphony of contradictions, love and chaos, dreams and harsh realities, hope and heartbreak, all existing under the same corrugated steel roof. Ronald Finney, her father, battled demons that cast long shadows across their family's daily life. Addiction is a thief that steals more than just the person suffering. It robs entire families of peace, security, and sometimes innocence itself. Monica Braithwaite, Rihanna's mother, became the anchor in stormy seas. An accountant by profession, a warrior by necessity. She worked multiple jobs while trying to hold together a marriage that was slowly unraveling, thread by precious thread. 7-year-old Robin learned early that life wasn't the postcard paradise tourists saw when they visited her island. She witnessed fights that left emotional scars, experienced the instability that comes when addiction hijacks a family, and felt the weight of adult problems settling on child-sized shoulders. But here's where the magic begins. In the midst of this turbulence, something extraordinary was taking root. Music became her escape hatch. Her voice, even as a child, carried something indefinable, something that made people stop, listen, and wonder where such power could possibly come from. By age 7, Rihanna was performing at local events, her voice cutting through the humid Caribbean air like lightning through dark clouds. Church gatherings, school talent shows, community festivals, any stage became her sanctuary. Those who knew her then describe a child who seemed to transform the moment she began to sing. Shy Robin would disappear, replaced by someone older, wiser, more powerful than her years should have allowed. Her bedroom became a recording studio. A hairbrush became a microphone. The mirror became her audience of millions, though she didn't yet know that one day, that fantasy would become reality. In a country where calypso and reggae ruled the airwaves, young Rihanna was absorbing everything. Bob Marley's Revolution, Madonna's Reinvention, Whitney Houston's vocal gymnastics, Mariah Carey's whistle notes. She was becoming a musical sponge, soaking up influences that would later create something entirely new. Destiny, they say, often arrives wearing the disguise of coincidence. December 2003. Music producer Evan Rogers was enjoying what he thought would be a routine vacation in Barbados with his wife. But the universe had other plans. A mutual friend mentioned a local teenager with an exceptional voice. "You have to hear this girl sing," they insisted. Rogers, probably thinking he was just being polite, agreed to meet her. 15-year-old Rihanna walked into that hotel room, carrying nothing but raw talent and an unshakable belief in herself. She performed Pon de Replay, a song that didn't even exist in its final form yet. And in that moment, everything changed. Rogers later described it as one of those rare moments in the music industry when you know, without question, that you're witnessing something special. Not just talent, not just potential, but that indefinable quality that separates good singers from superstars. Within months, demo recordings were crossing oceans. And then came the phone call that would rewrite the trajectory of a teenage girl's life. "How would you like to come to New York?" Picture this. A 16-year-old girl from a Caribbean island of 280,000 people suddenly finding herself in New York City, a metropolis of 8 million souls, each chasing their own version of the American dream. The demo sessions were a revelation. Producers who had worked with established artists were amazed by her professionalism, her ability to take direction, and most importantly, her instinct for what made a song work. But the real test was yet to come. The audition at Def Jam Records. The building where legends like LL Cool J, Public Enemy, and Slick Rick had signed their careers into existence. The plan was simple: 15-minute audition, sing a couple of songs, thank you very much, we'll be in touch. Ponder Replay filled that conference room, and something shifted in the atmosphere. Jay-Z didn't just hear a good song, he heard the future. The audition that was supposed to last 15 minutes stretched into hours. At 3 a.m., when most of New York was asleep, a teenage girl from Barbados was still in the Def Jam offices, negotiating her future. Jay-Z reportedly told his team, "Don't let her leave this building without a deal." She walked in as Robin Finney, hopeful teenager. She walked out as Rihanna, Def Jam recording artist. The girl who used to sing to her bedroom mirror was now part of the same label that housed some of hip-hop's most legendary figures. But signing the contract was just the beginning. Now came the real work, creating a debut album that would introduce the world to someone they'd never seen before. Music of the Sun, released in August 2005, was Rihanna's calling card to the world. The album was a celebration of her Caribbean roots, dancehall rhythms, reggae influences, and that unmistakable island flavor that made her different from every other pop star on the charts. Ponder Replay climbed charts worldwide, reaching number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. But more than just a hit song, it was a statement. Caribbean music belonged on the global stage, and this teenager was going to make sure everyone knew it. The success was intoxicating, but Rihanna was already thinking beyond her first album. She had tasted what it felt like to reach millions of people through music, and she wanted more. Not just more success, more impact, more influence, more ways to connect with people who needed to hear what she had to say. If Music of the Sun introduced us to Rihanna, then Good Girl Gone Bad revealed who she really was underneath. Gone was the sweet Caribbean princess. In her place stood a warrior queen, unafraid to explore darker themes, more complex emotions, more dangerous territories. The album, released in 2007, was a deliberate reinvention. Working with producers like Timbaland and The Dream, Rihanna crafted a sound that was simultaneously familiar and revolutionary. And then came Umbrella, the song that didn't just top charts, it rewrote the rules of what pop music could be. The collaboration with Jay-Z wasn't just strategic, it was symbolic. The man who discovered her was now standing beside her as an equal. Umbrella spent 7 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But numbers don't tell the whole story. The song became a cultural phenomenon, a summer anthem, a piece of music that seemed to capture something essential about that moment in time. Suddenly, Rihanna wasn't just a successful recording artist. She was a global superstar. But with that success came scrutiny, pressure, and challenges that would test everything she thought she knew about herself. Fame is a double-edged sword, and by 2009, Rihanna was learning to navigate its sharper edges. The incident that made headlines worldwide, the assault by then-boyfriend Chris Brown, could have ended many careers, many spirits, many dreams. But trauma, when faced with courage, can become transformation. Instead of hiding from the world, instead of allowing that moment to define her, Rihanna made a choice that would define her character for the rest of her career. She would turn her pain into power. Rated R, released later that year, was unlike anything she had ever created. Dark, introspective, unflinching in its honesty. Songs like Russian Roulette and Hard weren't just artistic statements. They were survival testimonies. When she performed these songs live, audiences could feel the authenticity in every note. This wasn't manufactured emotion or calculated vulnerability. This was a young woman processing trauma in real time, using her art as both shield and sword. But Rihanna's story was far from over. Loud, released in 2010, proved that she could emerge from darkness stronger, brighter, more determined than ever. The album was appropriately named. It was a declaration that she would not be silenced, diminished, or defined by anyone else's actions. Songs like Only Girl, in the world, and What's My Name dominated radio and proved that artistic growth and commercial success weren't mutually exclusive. She could be deep and accessible, vulnerable and powerful, all within the same album. Visually, too, she was evolving. Her fashion choices became bolder, more daring, more representative of someone who had survived public scrutiny and emerged with her creative vision intact. What happened next in Rihanna's journey defies every expectation about celebrity careers. If this exploration of artistic evolution and business brilliance is resonating with you, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment about what aspect of her transformation inspires you most, and share this with anyone who needs to understand the power of reinvention. While the music industry waited for her next album, Rihanna was orchestrating a different kind of revolution. She had identified a problem that billion-dollar beauty companies had somehow overlooked. Millions of women couldn't find makeup that matched their skin tone. September 2017, Fenty Beauty launched with 40 foundation shades when most major brands offered 12. It wasn't just inclusive, it was insurgent. Within its first month, the brand generated $100 million in sales. But the numbers, impressive as they were, told only part of the story. For the first time, women with deeper skin tones felt seen by a major beauty brand. Rihanna hadn't just created products, she had created representation. The Fenty effect rippled through the entire beauty industry. Legacy brands that had operated the same way for decades suddenly found themselves scrambling to expand their shade ranges. Rihanna had forced an entire industry to confront its own blind spots. Savage X Fenty followed the same blueprint. Identify an underserved market, create something beautiful and inclusive, then watch the industry follow your lead. But Rihanna's lingerie brand was about more than just underwear. It was about redefining beauty standards themselves. Her annual Savage X Fenty shows weren't just fashion presentations. They were cultural events that celebrated every body type, every skin color, every definition of sensuality and strength. Models weren't just size 2. They were size 14, size 18, pregnant, disabled, transgender. Rihanna was proving that true beauty comes in infinite forms, and that authentic representation isn't just morally right, it's incredibly profitable. By 2021, the girl from St. Michael Parish had achieved something that even her wildest dreams couldn't have contained. She became the youngest self-made female billionaire in America. Not through music alone, but through vision made manifest in multiple industries. But perhaps her greatest artistic statement came in 2016 with Anti, an album that rejected every expectation, every formula, every safe commercial choice. It was Rihanna unfiltered, uncompromising, undeniable. The album proved that she hadn't abandoned her artistic soul in pursuit of business success. If anything, financial independence had freed her to create exactly the music she wanted to make, regardless of commercial considerations. February 2023, pregnant and powerful, she commanded the Super Bowl halftime stage like a goddess addressing her devoted followers. Watched by over 118 million people worldwide, it wasn't just a performance, it was a coronation. The businesswoman had become a role model for an entire generation of young women who saw no reason to choose between career and family. Today, in 2025, Rihanna exists in rarefied air, a space occupied by cultural architects, not mere entertainers. She's not just a musician who became a businesswoman. She's a force of nature who happens to make music, create beauty products, design lingerie, and inspire millions. From the shores of Barbados to the boardrooms of Manhattan, from recording studios to runways, from headlines to history books, Rihanna Fenty didn't just become a star. She became a constellation unto herself. Her journey reminds us that our beginnings don't determine our destinations. That pain can become power. That authenticity resonates across cultures, languages, and generations. And that sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply refusing to be contained by others' expectations. In a world that often tries to dim our light, she reminds us all, shine bright like a diamond. Because that's not just a lyric, It's a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's a reminder that we all have the power to transform ourselves, our circumstances, and our world. Rihanna became a diamond in the rough. Subscribe for more extraordinary stories of transformation.